What I want to do in this one is to take a look at how to install routing remote access. How to do a remote access policy and then VPN, and then I told you when you do it, you want to do everything at once. This one already has a routing remote access installed on it. You can get to it either through the server manager or through administrative tools. Routing and remote, that's the wrong one. Picked the wrong one, of course. I want Security Configuration Wizard. So, administrative tools, routing and remote access. When you get here, and this one's already, I want to show you how to make it go away. All tasks, stop, pause, restart. Disable. If I disable routing and remote access and give it a chance here, it's going to wind up with nothing. So you don't want to disable this. Made me a liar, didn't it? No, it didn't. It just hadn't had a chance to refresh. So all that stuff was there. I disabled it. So how much is there now? I got the red arrow down key. And I wanted to show you that. I want to go through the configuration of this thing. Configure and enable, so we're going to do both at the same time. And here's the one you can do remote access for a VPN, NAT, VPN access, and NAT. Secure connection between two private networks or customize. And what you want to do when you do the lab is pick the customize, and then we're going to pick VPN access, NAT, and LAN routing, because we want to be able to do each of those activities. Next, finish, and start the service. And when we get done, I want to show you how difficult it is to configure a VPN. Okay, so finish, maybe finish. We have these ports here. VPN's done. You can, if you want, we'll do VPN first. Go up here and configure the properties, how many connections. By default, it gives you 128 connections for each one. If you want to do fewer, so we're going to do SSTP, we'll go up here and pick it. One of them won't take 0, and I guess that's that one. You're attempting to reduce the number of services. So I have reduced it to 0 ports. How many connections can we have? So we do those, configure those. How many do we want right there? The ports, VPN, and if you look here, SSTP, and actually I guess if I refresh this, and SSTP ports and PPTP ports and later L2TP ports. Based on the topology that we looked at earlier, one of my machines, see if I can make that go away. One of my machines is connected to it, and it's not that one. And they've all timed out, obviously. 1060 6539. This is on the public network. Can I connect there? I have, and I've already created one, but when you get ready to create your VPN client, right-click on Network Places, Properties, New Connection. So I have this one here called Demo. Password 1. Let's see if it'll connect. Registering, usually when you get here, registering your computer, I should be able to get there. So I've connected. I should now have IP config, multiple IP addresses. My PPP adapter, and I called it Demo 1060.64.139. It has a separate address to be used across the VPN. So I have my original address, which was the 1060.65.39, and the new address that it gave me. I think one of the things that I won't be able to do, let's see if it'll make me a liar. Finding site roanoke.ecpi.net. When you connect a VPN client, all your traffic goes down to VPN unless you configure what's called split tunneling, and you've got to go into the properties of the VPN connection, networking, TCP, properties, advanced, and it says use the default gateway on a remote system. If I want to use split tunneling, I would uncheck that. Then it would send the traffic to my VPN down to VPN, and all the other traffic it would send out my regular connection. So if you want to use split tunneling, you can use it there. Problem with split tunneling, if you think about it, it could be dangerous because they're going to the internet. Now you could get the machine infected while you're connected across your VPN. Let's see if we can. Gotta get my addresses here. Hang on. Okay, so the VPN works. When we do NAT, we want to do a couple of other things here, so we should be able to connect to it with a NAT connection also. Actually, let me go back to this guy and get to the right this guy. Go in here, right-click, disconnect. I'm going to disconnect my VPN connection, so that should take that connection away because I want to go back to the server now. Static routes, we don't have any. You think this thing will route? What do you think? We installed LAN routing, right? Think it'll route? Want to try it out? Want to try it out? I'm gonna pause this so I can get on my IP address. Does routing work? Let's see. The first thing is do an IP config. Maybe do an IP config. I love it when I clicked in and it jumps on me. IP config. Slow down. 10.60, 192.168.2.9. So the gateway for this one is 2.3. As you do these, you need to use the gateway the gateway on your machines inside, and the protocol that we saw should be the addresses on your servers. So ping 192.168.2.3. This one should be okay because they're on the same network. The next address is 10.60.64.37, I believe, and we can do that. That's the next hop address on this server. We do an IP config. Then we have a 10.60.64.37 address on it. 10.60.65.19 address. Let's see if we can do that one. And I think that's the one that I really want because we're using the 65 networks. I've still got a VPN connection there because it says it's the PPP connection of it. So let's go back to this guy and see if we can ping 65.19. The other machine on the back end is .39, and I can ping it. Wow, this is cool. So I should be able to ping everything, huh? Let's see if we can ping 10.60.64.1. I don't get any replies. 60.64.1 is the default gateway of my public address. Why can't I ping that guy? I can ping the stuff out there on it. I got workstation out there that I can ping. I can ping the interface of the router. Let's go see if the router can ping that. Any bets on it? Yay or nay? Should be able to. So why can't I? Why it's routed out there, obviously. Why can't I get there? Why can't I ping the gateway? Why can't I ping the gateway? Yahoo, it's not doing a very good job of pinging it either, is it? Why did it time out? Why do you think it timed out? The next hop doesn't know how to get back. The next hop doesn't know how to get back. And the reason I wanted to do that, and this one just says no, right? I'll do something here, maybe. (192.168.2.3), okay. So Yahoo can't get there, none of them can get there. Let's now go in here and do the really complex NAT configuration. The really complex NAT configuration, new interface. I've already got them in here. They're already here. If they weren't here, I would have to put them in. So go to Properties, NAT, Public Enable NAT. I have labeled my interfaces public and private, which I recommend that you do, because if you don't, you get a little confused later on. Actually, let's take all of these out. And the reason those are there is because they are remaining after the last time I did this, because they're not real. Now let's see if we can add the interfaces, add the public interface, click on public interface, enable NAT. Now a new interface, the private interface, and it already defaulted to private interface. So let's see if we can go back to the server that we were doing all the pinging on. Ping 1060.64.1. It works. Didn't work before. Why does it work now? What's the difference? I enabled NAT. The interface that it was on, because we pinged from the server, the interface that it's on, the router knows how to get back from. It didn't for our 192.168.2 address. It does for the NATed 10.60.64 address. So the difference is the substitution of the source IP address that can bring it back, that can get it back. And then if we go into the server, I have lots of publics and privates again still, don't I? Inbound packets, the public here, and both they're one's reflecting the other, would show me the mappings that I have. I can go in and show mappings. Should be able to go in and show mappings. It should give me the mappings because I disabled it and didn't restart the server. It still got some residue from the time before. Private addresses, but we have inbound, we have translated packets. It says so right here. And we know they had to be translated, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to get there. It translated 4 packets, the 4 ping packets. So that's all that we did in that one. Remote access and logging policies, if we go back to the roles here, and you notice I've switched on myself. Actually, I didn't. Yeah, I have switched on myself. From the MMC, which I started out on, to the server manager. It doesn't matter which one you configure this with. What we should be able to do is go to server manager, and I think I may already have a policy in here. Add role, so let's add role services. See if it took those out. So network policy server role is there. That's the one that you're going to have to add to this thing. I want to quit this wizard because it's already in there. Okay, we'll launch the network policy server. I thought that it probably should have shown up here. And then right click, launch network policy server, which I've already done, and here it is going, and we can go in and import accounting, network policies, a new policy. Policy name is allow VPN. Let's say allow VPN. Type of access server, we would go down here, use the VPN. This is basically what you're going to do in the activity. What we're going to do, and we're going to put a user group in here, add the group, and this is just a group from Active Directory. And domain admins is the one they want. You notice if you type part of the name and then click check names, it'll go give you a list of what it starts with. You don't have to type these names out exactly. Okay, next, access granted, access denied, and we will do access granted because that's what we want them to do. Which authentication methods are we going to use, and just leave that as CHAP v2 and CHAP. There are others, but we are not configured to do any of those. In any of the higher levels, the EAP type. You can configure the extensible authentication protocols. Timeout, how long do you want it to be before it times out? The maximum idle time in this thing, and they give you a number. I'll just put 30 in here. Session timeout. This would disconnect the session regardless of whether somebody's doing something or not. So the idle timeout is if it becomes idle, people are to walk away from the connection and leave it so that your kids can't play on it. Session timeout regardless of what happens. And we'll say, actually the session timeout should be more than the idle timeout, shouldn't it? We'll put 45 minutes in there. Next. Yeah, and then next, and it tells us what we've just configured, and okay, and you notice I have two of them here because I had done this one before, grant, and both of them are the same, grant access. Where those policies come from, if I go back to, and you notice that I have a bad habit of going back to the administrative tools instead of the server manager, that's just habits, old habits that don't get changed so easily. Let's look at the domain admins. If I go into the properties of it, member of, managed by, name, Let's go. Let's look at the administrator. Maybe the administrator is going to do us a better job. We go into the dial-in of the user administrator as control through NPS network policy. You have the option of allow access, deny access. When you configure Active Directory, they all get marked with managed by policy, and that's the policy that we just did. If you had a policy that was denied and we wanted to allow only a user or a few users to access it, you can make the policy denied. Oh, by the way, the default policy is no. And you can go back and individually configure the user objects to allow access. The policies themselves, the default policy should be no. I can't see it in here, but the default policy for these things, deny, yeah, here it is, access type, deny access. So the defaults for all the policies, this is just a general remote access, denies everybody access to the remotes until we configure something to allow access, either as an individual or via a policy. So I think that kind of does it, stumbling around a little bit, routing remote access, put it in, NAT, put it in, and NAT, all you have to do is add the interfaces. I do recommend, though, that instead of trying to figure out which one's local area network and which one's local area network 2, and I think you have labeled some of yours. I always label mine public and private, just so that it's a real quick tipper as to which one. Policy, and then the VPN. VPN was really tough, right? Let's do one other thing. Now that we've configured NAT and looked at that in the pinging process, we could ping back and forth across the networks. Let's take a look at what NAT does. I'm on the workstation. Let me go back here real quick. This is the topology that we're talking about. This is the Windows XP machine 10.60.65.x is the machine that I'm going to try to get to the back side of this network, to this server, the 192.168.2 address over here. I think this one's 2.9. This is 2.3. This is 10.60.65.19. So let's see how far we can go right now without the VPN connection. So if I ping, and if you don't click in, it will jump. And we've already done that up here, so I may just, maybe I can get in there. Ping 10.60.65.19, and that's okay. So then let's ping 192.168.2.3. It doesn't work, and so we wouldn't expect the 2.9 to work either. With that, let's go into here, into the network connections, and connect the VPN. It's registering. Sometimes this takes a few minutes, sometimes it's a little bit quicker. When we do this, remember we are now a machine on the network. And let's just go for the gusto here and go for the far end, and we can ping into the network. All the other stuff should work given that. So VPN, if you have NAT and you don't want to map a reverse NAT, you can get into your network via a VPN. VPN connects to the endpoint and goes directly on to the private network. I'm going to quit here and add this to the other one that we did in class. Thanks for watching.